Press A to play.
Like the grounded, more relatable stuff wasn't really in there, and that's why I like Miss Marvel so much. Actually, the TV show recently, because that was finally that for me really hit the spot where it's like, oh yeah, this is what I used to like about Marvel. It's like an actual relatable teen, and I was really scared they were gonna, like, Disney does a lot of time. I thought it was, oh my god, they're gonna have such a horrible way of sort of shoehorning in her Muslim background, and they're just gonna be so sort of fake wokey about it. But it was actually pretty okay, and I enjoyed the show from start to finish. And she was just an actual relatable Muslim teen living in New York and doing her thing, and that was really fun.
Do you think the stuff that came out after Endgame, generally speaking, was good material?
No,
No.
I think most of it's been pretty subpar, actually. Yeah, it's especially it's more they're not able to. That's why I like Ms. Marvel, because they actually stuck the landing. But WandaVision starts off amazing, and in my opinion, just crumbles in the last couple of episodes. Captain America and Winter Soldier. I thought it was just a shitty show. Loki was kind of fun.
That Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah, Loki was kind of fun. Hawkeye was really low stakes and really small and grounded, and I really liked that about it. That was fun.
I like him as a character because he's like surrounded by like gods and he's not a god or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's something cool about that.
Yeah, it's this weird effect where like in the real world, like someone like Hawkeye would be ridiculously impressive because this stuff he does with the bow and arrow is creepy. Like it's insane what he manages to do. But he is battling aside like a huge green monster and a half god and like a guy in the most advanced suit ever, and yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy Renner, I'm not a fan of the guy, but his portrayal of Hawkeye is really fun, actually. He's really just like relatable and just a guy a lot of the time.
Is that his actual family that's in the series?
No, they are. I think I think the daughter is the daughter of one of the directors, I think, or maybe of Kevin Feige, but I think it was one of the directors of the Infinity War and Endgame movies, or maybe the son, but I think it was his daughter. And his wife was actually brought in by Joss Whedon because she worked on a lot of stuff with him, and she was brought in by him for Age of Ultron. So there are fun links though in his family. Like his family does actually consist of sort of the filmmakers' families, like be it actual biological family or sort of movie family.
Okay. Well, I did think it was kind of interesting to see a story told from that perspective because as much as he's superhuman to us, he's still an ordinary guy compared to the demigods and the billionaires, you know? And there's a certain humility to him where he's kind of like, please don't lionize me, please don't. Like, I don't want any of this kind of thing. I did find that endearing about him as a character.
He's really good at sort of, poking, making fun of himself, and I enjoy that as well.
Yeah, I feel like Loki as well. I mean, as much as he is a god, I guess, right? I'm the god of mischief. I do like that as a character, he is constantly poking fun at himself. Yeah. He's constantly insulting himself. Actually, Thor too.
Oh yeah, thankfully they discussed because they hired him. They cast him as Thor when he was a complete unknown. But they discovered throughout, the movies after the first one, they were like, "Oh shit, Hemsworth is really fucking funny. We should use that." And I'm really glad they found ways to, do that because he has amazing comedic timing actually, and he's just been really fun he's been really fun in that role in the last couple of films where he was able to really shine when it comes to like, just comedic stuff.
And I like that the humor is driven by his hubris,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he's also acknowledging, yes, my character's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so,
he's very much, he's like the opposite of self-aware. Like he is, like the amount of time, like there's so many times still where Thor will do things where he's just like completely like so ignorant and so unaware of how stupid it is what he's saying or doing, and it's it works. Like Hemsworth is really able to sell that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but of course we will just walk up to them and just knock them over, and they're like, we're not immortal, right? We cannot just beat up those like huge robots or demigods. And he said, we'll just walk in and we'll just have a good old time, and then we'll have a beer and
we'll have a chat.
Yeah.
I need a hammer. Yeah. And Hiddleston also pokes fun at himself.
Oh, yeah.
Turn on this light.
Have you ever seen Hiddleston's casting video where he auditioned for Thor?
No.
Because he did, and it's amazing. Because he's like this scrawny guy using this like prop hammer. It's really fun.
Is this gonna be too bright or? Oh, I should turn the. Oh, that's ridiculous, huh? Is that easier?
Oh, I can't see anything anymore. I'm just like.
Sorry. Fuck. Oh, the lights. It's gonna be right in my face too. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's
a lot. Oh, I'm used to it now. That's okay. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, I gotta find some more chill lights for when we're playing at night in the winter, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what I didn't like about Loki though is that, not to spoil anything, but a lot of the stakes in like the Infinity War Endgame thing, they completely trivialize.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but why? Why would you do that? I kind of hope they have a big plan behind it somewhere, but I have a concern that they don't, and they're just like setting up whatever the next thing is going to be.
It's a lot of people love Endgame.
I thought it was good for.
I liked Infinity War so much better though. Like, I it's weird because on one hand, because you have seen Endgame then.
Yeah.
I kind of sort of liked the pure visual experience of like that huge battle scene at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like even back then in the theater, even when I was like, wow, this is so much, I also was like, it feels empty because it's everything. They just threw in everything and it felt so fan servicey and so...
It was 100% fan service.
Yeah, and like the ending of Infinity War, like I'm not shitting you, I shed a tear. Not because, that's more of a personal thing, but like specifically Peter Parker.
Yeah, dude.
And it's not even, oh no, because Spider-Man died and that's why I was sad, so I should. But like the fear he portrayed when he was sort of aware something was happening.
Yeah.
Like I have like an actual sort of like clinical phobia for like death. So, not even like death as a consequence. That's like fine by me. I don't have a problem with like going to funerals and shit. But like the concept of being dead at one point is just literally panic attack inducing for me.
Oh wow.
And
okay.
like his fear in that scene where he was like, I don't feel so good, or I don't feel too well, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
That fear and then dying, that was like, that really hit home for me. Like that was such an emotional gut punch. And then you had Endgame, which was just like, let's go on a time heist.
Yeah.
It didn't hit the same highs, and yeah.
This is true.
Infinity War was really, really fun. God, I really liked that movie.
I mean, I have to admit that there was something like super satisfying about just seeing everybody come back and like clash. I mean, it was legit like all fan service, of course, you know.
But there was obviously still. It felt sort of empty and fan servicey, but at the same time, like I said, I was also at first like ridiculously impressed and overwhelmed. Like, oh my god, this is such. I never could have imagined as a kid to witness something like that on screen.
Oh my god,
like,
yeah.
8-year-old Frake would have gone fucking mental if you told him that.
But yeah, so what I liked about Infinity War was that they were gutsy enough to go there, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that wished that they had stayed gutsy enough to sort of keep it, because then, like, the stakes are higher now, you know, like the gods can die.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, that moment where Loki realizes, not Loki, sorry, Thor realizes he failed.
Oh yeah.
You know?
God, that he played that really well actually. Like that sort of completely destroyed look on his face, where he's like, everything I like derive self-worth from, like everything I want to stand for, everything I believe in, everything that makes me important or valuable to anyone.
Yeah.
I didn't manage to be that or do that. Like you can just see his entire self-worth sort of crumbling in that one shot. It's ridiculous. Good stuff to see a man die from the inside. Like it's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great moment. And I don't know, like I feel like we shy away from that in... Oh, is this a thing? It said press X to see the terminal.
Oh, I think that's like the interactive extras, right? I think that's like for concept art and stuff.
Yeah, we don't need that. Concept art. But yeah, I kind of appreciate it when in a film or in a series that they're willing to make those sacrifices, you know?
Yeah.
Like in,
yells in pain, then a death rattle.
Uh-huh.
It's very specific.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the death rattle has to come after the yelling in pain.
No.
Necessarily, I guess.
Kind of scared now.
Where do those guys appear, though? There he is. He's in the corner here.
Like a
cheeky
coward.
bastard.
On my way.
Is there more than one? There's another one. There he is. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit!
Oh no, oh no. I'm here. Oh man, you're good.
Oh,
Look at you.
I got lucky. I jumped.
We made it. We did.
Alright, Cortana to Echo 419.
This is the terminal you just used, right?
Yeah.
So I shouldn't do that. Okay.
But like, I remember when Agent Coulson dies in the Avengers and everything.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck Joss Whedon, but that was a really well executed scene, and that was really. Oh, I loved that. That actually, that was again, yeah, that was an actual emotional gut punch back then. That really worked, like surprisingly well.
Yeah, I thought he did. Well, I enjoyed all the movies more or less, but again, for what they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find the Avengers quite satisfying, and again, there's something to like being willing to let characters not have plot armor. I think it's like we were talking about Game of Thrones earlier. I think it's one of the things that made it magic at the beginning. Is you legit did not know what was going to happen. A good guy or a bad guy could have something horrible happen to them, you know?
Again, because it was character driven, so you know they were all human beings, and human beings make mistakes. So if it was in a character's nature to make the wrong decision in a certain situation, that would get them killed. That's what made them so interesting. Yeah.
Before they became the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, because then it turned into, okay, we want this character to end up here. What do we need them to do to end up in that situation? That's plot driven. And that plot driven works for a lot of things, like Marvel films, for example. But Game of Thrones was fun because it was mostly character driven. That's what made it so interesting. But, yeah.
Same thing that was good about Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would Walter... Okay, actually, I do have to say that I think one of my criticisms was, like, they played the Walter card a bit too much, where it was kind of like, Walter will just MacGyver a solution out of this, you know? I am going to chemistry a bomb. And at a certain point, you're like, all right. But the decisions that he makes, a lot of them were driven by these sort of character flaws that they had tried to establish so much. You know, like, no, he's going to get pissed that he's not getting the credit, right? And then this version of narcissism that we want to show in him is going to get the better of him, and he's going to say the wrong, like, you know, these sorts of things lead to these interesting situations over and over again. Yeah, it was really good at that, I have to say.
Such a creepy ass character. My God.
And he played it so well too. My God.
It's still a shame to me though that, just like with Scarface, for example, like a huge part of the audience actually enjoys the character in a way that's sort of like they're without criticism, where they're like, yeah, he's a cool character and he's like a fun character, and he's like, yeah, but he sure he he kills people, but he knows what he wants, and he's dedicated and he's smart, and like, yeah, but he's just a horrible person. It's just like with Rick and Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Like a lot of fans being like, oh yeah, Rick is so cool. I'm like, Rick is a depressed shell of a man who hates himself and everything he comes into. Like, nobody should want to be Rick or be like him or be around him. But a lot of fans feel like, yeah, Rick is so cool, and like, just no. And that, we saw the same thing happen with Scarface, and we saw the same thing happen with Walter, where people are like, yeah, they're so cool and so interesting and so fun, and like, they're not even anti-heroes, they're just horrible people.
Yeah, ultimately. And that what was kind of interesting about the character, who had been this sort of meek pushover his entire life, and you watch him break.
And that's what I like, because it was always there. That's actually the first thing, like, if you rewatch the show, the first thing you will notice in like the first episode is, shit, it's not like he's this cutesy goody two shoes who's all about, caring for his family, and who's all about, being a nice guy. You can see all of those frustrations and all of those sort of like the injustice that he experiences, that he feels is there. Like, all of that is there under the surface.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do anything with it. And he uses basically his diagnosis as like a sort of, that's like the catalyst to then finally sort of explore that side of him. But that's what I like about the characters, that it's not like about a good guy turning bad. It's about a bad guy who never was able to sort of capitalize on his like ambitions or feelings, and who then finally does. It's not like he never gets
breaks through.
Yeah, it's not like he gets corrupted, or it's not like, because like a decent person doesn't just change into a monster like Walter because of like a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah,
like, he was a self-serving, arrogant asshole from the beginning, but he was also like conventionally not all that attractive and not buff and not like assertive enough to actually do anything about it. And then when he does, goddamn, that assholery just gets to shine.
Yeah, and he's consistently put in situations where he manages to succeed, which only emboldens him over time.
Oh yeah, once he's like, oh shit, all of those things I've been thinking and feeling about others and about myself, I can actually put that into practice and get away with it. Like, oh man, that just keeps getting worse and worse, of course, because of that.
Yeah. I think the character that continuously broke my heart was Jesse, though.
Oh yeah.
They tortured him as a character. They just straight up tortured him over and over again.
He's still the perfect example of presenting something as a happy ending, but if you think about it for like more than 5 seconds, it's just a devastating. Like, him driving away at the end of the show is not like, oh yeah, Jesse got out. It's like, he's never ever going to be able to function in his daily life after everything he just went through.
But what I appreciated is they were already showing him as having completely lost the ability to function.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, define function, but yeah, right, like he's
the crack house scenes,
all the crack house scenes, so good. Yeah, like, so they had already shown him as being horribly dysfunctional, which again I appreciated, because kind of realistic, right? Like, just randomly killing people is not good for anybody. So good at that. And yeah, like, all this gray, so he does manage to get away. You kind of want him to get away, but you got to remember that, I mean, he was selling crystal meth before Walt, right? Like, he was involved in all these rather negative things before Walter, and there's so much gray in it.
Like, he was not in a good place to begin with. Like, he was already sort of slipping away before the show even started. Like, he was not emotionally stable. He was not working on a career or anything that he actually wanted. He was not. Was not able to rely on like a decent, healthy emotional support group around him. Like, yeah. Oh, he's such a tragic. Oh, it's such a tragic character.
Yeah.
Actually, that's also actually what I like about Better Call Saul compared to Breaking Bad, is that, again, looking back on Breaking Bad, I just don't feel the need to rewatch it because I don't emotionally care for the arc of the main character. I just don't really like rewatching a horrible person finally being able to be that horrible person.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is a tragedy though, because Better Call Saul is about, like, I'm not going to say anything, spoilery, but obviously, Saul Goodman, the character.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is about a person with a decent moral compass and who desperately wants to actually be a good guy, but the things he's good at aren't good, aren't decent, but he keeps sort of making the same mistakes and keeps falling in the same pitfalls, and that's just devastating to watch. That's to me emotionally way more rewarding and interesting, because you see this person just he works so hard to be a good guy and be a part of society and to make people proud, and he's not able to pull it off, and every single time he then resorts to the easy way out, which is what he's good at, but also in the long run what won't make him happy, because it doesn't. He's not, I mean, even in Breaking Bad, that's like, he's obviously not a happy person. He's good at what he does and he makes a lot of money doing what he does, but it's not fulfilling.
Yeah, and he can't get out of it towards the end,
That's just really hard and really sad to watch, but I think that's a more interesting sort of development or arc to watch than what Walter goes through. But that's, again, purely what I like and want to see, not about which one of those is better or more relevant or whatever. It's just, I can't really see myself going back to Breaking Bad, which is a shame, because the cinematography on that show, the editing...
Oh, man.
Christ,
the writing, like a lot of the actual words,
it might actually still be the best looking TV show ever made. Like, just purely if you look at like the colors they use and the shots, and like, it's just so good.
They had a lot of great shots through transparent tables. It's so interesting that like that perspective just became a thing throughout the series.
Oh damn.
Done so well. Yeah. I liked the relative accuracy of it, though, Like, they didn't cheap out. They were like, nope, this guy's got problems and we're going to show you. And I think for me, what was interesting was that they didn't stray away from that, actually. So again, all this gray, right? He cries when Hank dies.
Yeah.
He's genuinely sad. He was genuinely trying to save his life, even though Hank was trying to take him down, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
That like psychological system was completely intact and unaffected by the rest of his disorders. Fucking beautifully done, beautifully written, But yeah, I mean, am I gonna watch it again? No. Like, by the end, you also want him to go down. I wanted Hank to catch him, And it's not like Hank was the best person either. At the beginning of it, you're just like, dude, when you first meet him, you really want him to grow up. He seemed like such a man-child. But yeah, I don't know, like the shades of gray become important. They become the thing that makes it like feel kind of accurate or realistic.
Yeah.
I felt similarly that way about The Wire, where it was kind of like there aren't really any good guys in The Wire,
Oh yeah, I still haven't gotten around to actually watching the entire show, but even based on what I've read and the few episodes I've seen, I know it's not a black and white TV show. It's
nothing but grays.
I was just about to say, it's very much all in the grays. Yeah.
Yeah, but still so well done. It doesn't watch like anything else you've watched. There's some thing that comes across as a bit odd when you first get into it, and I think what it is that from the very beginning you find yourself unsure of who the good or the bad guys are, and you're forced to contend with all of their moral dilemmas.
That's what I like about Succession, for example, now as well, is that all of the characters are assholes.
Okay.
Like, they're horrible people. horrible, horrible, horrible people, but they're still people. That's what, I think shows good writing, when you have all these horrible human beings who aren't likable, but they are still relatable. Like, they're all privileged, rich assholes actively making the world a worse place. But they're also, fighting with, like, some really relatable, universal human things, like having a horrible sense of self-worth, and with addictions, and wanting to be acknowledged by your parents, or with feeling left behind, or with not knowing how to, like, keep a stable relationship going. Like, they're horrible people, but you understand the things they are, like, the things that aren't going well in their lives are things that don't go well in all of our lives at one point or another. So that still makes them interesting characters you want to watch. And I think that's really, I mean, The Sopranos is a good example of that as well. Those are horrible people. They're irredeemable, horrible people. It's not like they're cutesy, fun people who also happen to be organized, criminals. They're horrible people, and there's no redeeming them. But, like, the panic attacks and the depression and all of that you see with, for example, Tony, you can relate to him because of that. You understand that. That doesn't make him likable. That doesn't make it, oh yeah, Tony's actually a good guy, because he isn't. He's a horrible human being. But you still want to see how he, works that shit out, because that's relatable to anyone. Like that's universal.
Yeah.
That's good writing, if you ask me.
I remember watching a few episodes of it, but never completely got into it. But I did remember feeling like they had that writing bit down,
So The Sopranos is The Wire, actually. Huh.
What's that?
What The Wire is to me, The Sopranos is to you.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's really good, but you've seen a couple of episodes, and
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's something to the authenticity, I guess. And I got the vibe that, like, the writers had a feeling for, I guess, that kind of person or that world. Same thing with The Wire, actually. I got the feeling that those writers had a feeling for that world.